Hello, and welcome back to Revenue Remix. I'm your host, Summer Paletti, founder of Rise of Us, where I help founders and CEOs avoid wasting money, momentum, and reputation on growth strategies that fall flat. And today I have a bonus for you. It comes off the heels of the What's Working Now panel, which is right below this episode in your feed. If you haven't listened, I highly suggest that you do. Marketing is in flux right now, and we went hard on inbound and discovery and AI citations. I brought together people who I know have differing opinions, and I expected some punchy conversations. You know, I like that. And when we were done, I spoke with some of them afterward, and they were like, yeah, that wasn't very spicy at all, like mild sauce, right? There's a reason for that. If you were watching on YouTube, you may have seen the facial expressions. I kept my mouth shut and I held back a little bit. So let me back up just a bit. I had marketers on. Of course, they talked about visibility, discovery, and citations when they were talking about what's working right now in today's market. That's marketing's DNA, right? And I was being nice, and I don't argue with guests. But I'm a growth architect. Everything I do has to convert to revenue, or better yet, profit. Getting cited by AI, that's cool. I still remember the first time Perplexity quoted me, and it earned exactly $0. So here's the thing that nobody really said out loud, but I'm saying it today. Citations don't convert. Discovery doesn't close deals. Recommendations don't onboard or retain clients. There's no revenue without a system to convert, land, onboard, and retain. So most companies that I work with aren't actually short on content. They're short on content that does. So let's talk about what does convert to revenue, because that's all I care about. And the founders that I work with, guess what? That's all they care about too, is converting to revenue. Where's the ROI? So when I look at the marketing with the companies that I work with, these are scaling orgs. They've invested some in go to market, and they're not really short on content, but they are short on content that does a specific job at a specific stage for a specific buyer, having a specific challenge and feeling a specific way about things. It's a diagnostic problem before it's a production problem. Marketing creates content, of course, and then sales ignores it, right? Have you ever heard that complaint from marketing, is that sales doesn't use our stuff? And then maybe sales complains back and says that, it doesn't hit the mark, clients don't care about it, whatever. Both of them are right. The problem is that's marketing that is built without talking to the people who talk to buyers every day. So here's what I do instead. It's 4 conversations in this specific order. Sales first. They hear the same objections over and over. They know why deals stall. They know why prospects ghost after a great demo. And they know what has helped them close the ones that they lost. And most importantly, they know what has helped them close a big deal. And they have an inkling about what would have helped them close the ones that they lost. The most urgent thing that surfaces is what the internal champion needs to get their CFO or IT team on board. Customer success comes second. They know what happens after the yes. The features that clients don't expect to love, the use cases that emerge from real adoption, the things that product never imagined. The most compelling late stage content isn't about features and benefits. It's about what your best clients are actually doing and the results that they are getting in real life. Onboarding comes third. They hold the fears that buyers never voiced out loud, the technical concerns they don't want to raise. When buyers can see exactly what implementation looks like before they sign, the deal moves faster. And the fourth and final conversation is marketing, and that's on purpose. I do not come with a list of assets to produce. I am not I need a flyer for this sales leader. I come with a set of problems to solve. When I first did this in my corporate life, I joked that I used marketing as my therapist. The Here are the objections we're facing. Here's why we're losing deals that we shouldn't lose. How can you help us? And what I have found is that most good marketers, they want to help sales close deals. They just don't have the communication loop that is giving them the real intel that they need. And the quality of what gets produced when marketing builds what solves real defined problems that the sales team and the customer success team are hearing every day. That is your magic bullet stuff. It's not fluff. It's not features and benefits. It's what actual users actually care about. It might be objection handling content, or as I like to say, objection proofing, where you get ahead of it. The best objection you hear is the one you never hear. Nurture sequences mapped to the actual buyer journey, deal room assets that the internal champion can take into rooms that sales is never in. You know they have meetings about you that you're not invited to, right? Every piece has a specific job and nothing is created for its own sake. There's no one offs. It's all strategic and it leads to revenue. So, getting back to how AI is changing everything, it is great to be discovered, to be cited, and to be recommended by AI. The recommendation is something that Google was never able to do. Your buyers, they have a conversation with their chatbot and their chatbot recommends you. That is great. That's still not going to close the deal though, because it is easy to close your laptop, close that chat, you move on to anything else. Has anybody ever ideated something with their LLM and then kind of forgotten about it because you move on to something else because you're busy? Yeah, that happens all the time. Guess what? Your buyer is busy too. They might get down to the recommendation phase and then get distracted because that's what happens because they're busy and you don't even know that they were thinking about your solution in the first place, that they have a problem that you can solve. You don't even know that they know who you are. And so that recommendation kind of goes nowhere. Let's say they even go to your website and they look at it. Maybe they even have a conversation with someone on the sales team, and then they get busy and they get distracted and they move on to something else. That recommendation is never going to convert to a signed deal, an onboarded and retained client, that sustainable revenue that we all want, without someone leading the charge. Your buyer, their main job isn't to buy your stuff. Your salesperson, however, their main job should be to sell your stuff, right? And the person that visits your website, that's your internal champion. The deal closes, especially an enterprise deal, because that person cares enough about the problem that you're solving and the impact that it can have on their life, and they're willing to go to fight for it. A bot, getting back to the bot isn't going to know what the finance leader is thinking. They're not going to know the fight that that internal champion has for budget. The bot can't send the right asset at the right moment to the right person inside that buying committee. The bot can't help harm the internal champion while they're fighting for budget or other resources. And here's something to note. When ChatGPT went enterprise, they hired a sales team. So sit with that while we're chatting. Getting back to the bot recommendations. The bot can't revive a stalled deal. It can't figure out what's exactly happening inside of the org. For enterprise buyers and large SaaS deals, a human who can read the room beats automation every single time. And that is why recommendations from ChatGPT or Claude, it's just not enough. That's why that panel wasn't so spicy, is it's just not enough anymore. So let me back this up with an actual story from a client. I was working with an investor-backed SaaS company, strong product, demos were landing well, they had a kick-ass product. Prospects were impressed, they asked good questions, and then they went completely silent. Marketing kept generating leads and sales kept booking demos, and the pipeline kept filling up. But revenue didn't move. It was just a clogged pipeline full of stalled deals. So before I recommended a single hire or a new campaign, I had those 4 conversations: sales, customer success, onboarding, and then marketing. Last, of course, on purpose. And what I found is that buyers weren't saying no, they were saying not yet. And nothing was reaching them in the meantime. There were people who hadn't been contacted for 2 or more years. Customer success was sitting on proof that prospects never saw. Buyers were scared of implementation but wouldn't say it out loud. And then we built a content strategy to solve all of it. The CMO still has everything. A junior hire joined after I left, and he's punching above his weight because the infrastructure supports him. And that's the design I bring. I build it and then I leave. So this isn't instead of what the cover. This isn't instead of what that last panel covered. It's in addition. Discovery is important. It gets you found, but it's not what gets you paid. Citations are table stakes. Revenue systems are the game. And recommendations, that's new and that's wonderful. You want to get recommended. I am all about partner-led growth. And it seems like this is, people like me who use their LLM as their thought partner. If that thought partner recommends you, that is great. It doesn't seal the deal, it doesn't onboard the client, and it doesn't retain them. Revenue systems are the game here. It's the only thing that matters is taking the citations, taking the recommendations, and converting it to real sustainable revenue that you can count on. And in this market, when everything's in flux, a little bit of something that you can count on is all that we all need. If this is something that resonates with you, or you've heard someone in your network talking about this, or you're kind of curious about all those 4 conversations and the content I just talked about, let's have a chat about it. This is one of the pillars on which I build revenue systems. You can find me on LinkedIn. I probably spend too much time there. Summer Paletti rhymes with spaghetti. Or you can find me at theriseofus.com. So that wraps it up today for this little bonus. If you're listening from the gym or the car, I appreciate you, and I will see you all next week.